In the mid-1800s, the industrial world was booming. Cities were being built, economies were exploding, and one specific trade was more lucrative than almost any other: green glass manufacturing. From beer and wine bottles to apothecary vials, green glass was everywhere. But inside the roaring, soot-filled factories of Europe and America, a terrifying pattern began to emerge. Men, sometimes as young as their late 20s, who entered these factories with perfect vision, would slowly and inexplicably go completely blind. It wasn't a sudden accident or an explosion. It was a slow, agonizing fade into darkness. By the late 1800s, in certain glass-making towns, nearly every single veteran worker was visually impaired or completely blind. Doctors were baffled. Was it a toxic chemical in the green dye? Was it a curse? Or was it something hidden entirely in plain sight? Today, we are diving into one of the most unsettling, overlooked medical mysteries of the Industrial Revolution: the blindness of the green glass factories.
To understand why this happened, we have to understand just how crucial these workers were. Before plastic, glass was the king of storage. And green glass, made using cheap sand containing iron impurities, was the cheapest and most common form of packaging. These master craftsmen were the elite of the working class. They were highly paid, highly respected, and worked in brutal conditions. A typical shift lasted up to 12 hours. For half a day, these men stood directly in front of the blinding, blazing mouths of furnaces, staring deep into the molten liquid to ensure the glass was perfectly melted. But by the 1860s, rumors began to swirl around the tavern districts where these workers gathered after their shifts. Workers noticed that the older men in the shops, men in their 40s who should have been at the peak of their careers, were stumbling around the factory floor. They couldn't see the glass molds. They couldn't read the orders. Within a few years, they were forced into early retirement, completely blind, relying on their children to feed them. The public called it the bottle maker's curse, and soon, medical science had to step in. When early Victorian doctors began investigating the green glass factories, they were met with a medical enigma. When they looked into the eyes of these blind workers, they didn't see typical injuries. There were no scars from flying glass shards. There were no chemical burns. Instead, the natural clear lens inside the workers' eyes had turned a thick, milky, opaque white. They were suffering from severe cataracts. But here was the mystery. In the 1800s, cataracts were strictly known as a disease of the elderly. It was something that happened to people in their 70s or 80s as the body broke down. Why were young, robust glass workers in their 30s developing the eyes of 90-year-olds? Initially, medical journals blamed the workers' lifestyles. Because glass factories were incredibly hot, workers sweated profusely and drank gallons of water and beer to stay hydrated. Doctors theorized that the extreme sweating evaporated water from the cornea, drying out the eye and causing the lens to calcify. Others blamed the green aspect of the glass. They believed that the specific mineral impurities used to turn the glass green emitted toxic vapors that slowly poisoned the optic nerve. Both theories were completely wrong. The real killer was something the human eye couldn't even see. The breakthrough didn't come until the turn of the 20th century, with the advancement of physics and thermodynamics. Scientists realized that the culprit wasn't the smoke, the beer, or the green dye. It was infrared radiation. When glass is melted at extreme temperatures, it doesn't just emit bright, visible light. It acts as a massive black body radiator, pumping out colossal amounts of invisible infrared photons, essentially pure, intense radiant heat. Because these glass workers stood just inches away from the furnace doors for 12 hours a day, year after year, their eyes were bombarded by this invisible radiation. The human lens has a specific job. It absorbs light and focuses it, but it also absorbs infrared energy. Over decades, this relentless absorption of infrared photons caused the proteins inside the lens to vibrate violently. This vibration generated localized, microscopic heat inside the eye, literally cooking the proteins, a process known as denaturation. Think of it like frying an egg. The clear egg white turns completely opaque and white when heated. That is exactly what was happening inside the eyes of the green glassblowers. Their lenses were being slowly boiled by invisible light. Today, this condition is officially known in medicine as glassblowers cataract. Once the mystery was solved, the solution was remarkably simple: protective eyewear. By introducing specialized goggles that blocked infrared and ultraviolet light, the mysterious curse of the green glass factories vanished almost overnight. Today, with modern automation and strict safety regulations, glassblowers cataract is incredibly rare, mostly serving as a case study in occupational health textbooks. The next time you look at a vintage green glass bottle, remember that it is more than just a piece of history. It is a monument to a generation of forgotten craftsmen, men who literally gave up their sight to light up and package the modern world. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history's forgotten mysteries, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what historical mystery we should investigate next. Thanks for watching.